Hey, what's going on? YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Now today, we've been pumping out those collabs, but we've got someone else who's new to the channel and we have got Odd One Gaming. How's it going, bro?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you today?
I'm keeping well. So, for anybody who doesn't know Odd One, he's been starting YouTube a bit more consistent in like recent times, but you may know him from Overweight on Twitch, but now he's trying to pump out that YouTube content, so yeah, let's get him to those 1,000 subscribers. That is the goal for today's video. But before we get started, do you just want to give us a little breakdown of what you've been getting up to on your channel and what you've been focusing on?
So yeah, thank you for that first of all. I've started focusing more on my YouTube channel in the last 2 months. I started my YouTube channel like last year in July, but I've been slacking with it. I've just been focusing more on Twitch, even they're slacking, but recently I started to pick it up. So I'm trying to focus more on guides, on clan boss, on dungeons, on showcases. So basically I'm trying to englobe everything from endgame content to free-to-play content, and you know, trying to give as much information out there as I can. Sometimes I do things that, you know, other people have done, like, I don't know, as a simple example, the Samar thing, you know, the Samar, so other people done it, but so many times people come and say to us, I haven't seen that in a while, so, you know, just updating information and stuff like that. But yeah, I always like to play with clan boss and try to find some unique stuff in general.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we love the clan boss round here on this channel anyway, so I'm sure many of the viewers would want to check you out and stuff. So yeah, I guess we should just talk about today's topic. So what we're going to be doing is, on my channel, we're going to be going from Orcs down to the Shadowkin, breaking down our favorite and best legendaries, epics, when referring to the clan boss, and champions you may want to bring into the mix. And then after this video, head straight over to Odd One Gaming, and we're going to do the Banner Lords down to the Skinwalkers. So make sure to check out part 2 over there. So you're on the channel, so do you want to start us off here today with the Orcs and your kind of favorite picks?
Yeah, sure. So honestly, if we have a look, especially at the legendaries in the Orcs,
yeah,
I don't think we have that many good options for clan boss. Like I just feel like there's 2 obvious options, which would be Krila, Witch Arm.
Yep, so we start off with her. Do you want to break down her kit?
Yeah, sure. She has like on her A1 is not that important. Just attacks one enemy, places a shield on another champion with the lowest HP of 10% of her max HP. That's not as important. Her A2 though is the one that's really good for the clan boss. She attacks one enemy, then places a stun. Again, that doesn't count because we cannot stun the clan boss. But when booked, she has a 100% chance of teaming up with 3 champions and attack a random enemy. Obviously in the clan boss we only have 1, so her ally attack can basically help us pump out a lot of damage. And when it's fully booked, apart from being a 100% chance to do their attack, it's on a 3-turn cooldown. So that can be really huge when it comes to pumping out damage or placing poisons when you have somebody like Frozen Bastion as an example.
Yeah, for sure. Having an ally attack champion is definitely one of the champions you want to bring, especially if you're not doing unkillable and if you're doing unkillable, because the amount of value that they bring is just getting so much extra attacks, and if you don't have a counter-attack champion yet, definitely a great option to think about. Now, exactly. I guess I'll just lead into the one that I think is the shine of the Orcs, and that's going to be Iron Brago. And I currently use this guy in my clan boss team, and he's just so amazing in so many aspects. Now, arguably one of the best fusions to come out last year, alongside Underpriest Brogni, in my opinion anyway.
First fusion. Yes. My first fusion.
Yes, so basically we got, this is a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 3 turns, and this is on a 3-turn cooldown. And that's what makes this champion so unique, because that duration is the same as his cooldown, meaning you can keep it up consistently throughout the entirety of the run if you speed tune it correctly. Also on the A3 ability, we got a decreased attack, which is one of the most vital buffs to bring into the clan boss. So yeah, that's 2 really things that really stands out in his kit, but also an amazing passive of increasing defense of all allies by 10% of this champion's defense. Now, if you look at the kind of champion this is, he is a defense-based champion. So as long as you're stacking him with high defense, the rest of your other champions are going to make full use of that passive. Aura, I wish it was all battles, but it's just narrowed down to the Doom Tower. Have you had much play with the Iron Brago?
To be fair, I've built, when I got him from the fusion, I was really excited about getting him, but I think it was exactly the next week. Like I got into 6-star, fully ascended, didn't book him yet.
Yeah.
And the next week I pulled the man-eater.
Oh god.
So I quit doing it. I was like, oh my god, I really like this champion. I'm gonna use him. Like he's gonna be in my clan boss team. Nope. I pulled the man-eater, didn't use him until 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago I booked him.
Yeah.
And because I was like, okay, I like this champion. He's already has masteries. Let me try him somewhere else. I took him in Hydra. He's insanely good in Hydra as well. His AoE decrease attack and the increased defense done a good job. In the epics, again, there's not too many options, but the one I think would shine the most, in my opinion, is Sandlash Survivor. She has a very simple and basic kit that can be extremely good, though. When we're talking about killable comps, her A1, she just attacks one enemy 2 times. She cannot do the provoke, so that one doesn't help as much. Then she also heals herself by 15% of damage inflicted if she has any debuff. So maybe if she has a poison, she can heal herself, or if she has any of the other debuffs, but usually that's not going to happen because we try to block it. But the thing that's really valuable about her is the raid 2. Attacks all enemies, decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. So if the clan boss has the increased attack, she can decrease it. But she increases the duration of all ally buffs for 1 turn. So if you think about building the comps that are like on a 1-to-1 ratio, bringing a buff extender like Sandlash Survivor can mean the fact that we could have all the buffs on all of our team for all the time. So we can have the increased defense in there, block debuffs, and every other buff that we bring in. Also, she has a passive that when an ally's HP drops below 50%, she places an ally protection on everybody, and she puts up a block damage on herself. The only thing I wish is that this one, after being booked, would be on a 3-turn cooldown, and then it could be more reliable.
Yeah.
Because it's on a 4-turn cooldown, it's not as good, but it's a good failsafe. Like if you need it, if you get like an unlucky crit, for example, from the clan boss, this can be really huge. You can actually save your team, you can heal back up, and you can go a few more rounds. At the same time, she brings a good aura, defense in all battles by 25%. So this is the one that I think maybe shines in the epics. I don't know which one you think as well.
Yeah, I think out of all of the epics, this is the one that I'd recommend the most. As you said, you broke it down pretty good there. We've got the extension of our buffs, which is amazing to keeping up all of your buffs at all times. And that's pretty much it, alongside with that passive as a safety feature with the ally protection. And I'm not gonna lie, like this has saved me in so many runs back in the day. So definitely don't underlook the value of this passive. All right.
Exactly. When you talk affinity and you talk those extra 50% crit, those crits can mess you up.
Yeah, so in this video, guys, we're not going to talk about every single champion. We're going to be here for hours if we do that. We're just going to be choosing we think are the MVPs in each of these factions. But if we miss any in the comment section below, just let us know who you would have chose as well. All right, let's go into the Demonspawn. And do you want to kick us off here?
So for Demonspawn, here this Demonspawn is quite an interesting faction, as all of the legendaries are extremely good. However, when we talk about clan boss, none of them, let's say, shine as good as they shine in other areas. But from my point of view, there's 2 ones. There's Duchess and Tyrant that can be extremely good. Yeah. So from my point of view, I would say Tyrant is the one that's, honestly, he's the one that's really overlooked in general. I feel like people just know him for his HP burn for the spider and don't see the value of his of all of his kit basically.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
The thing that he does is like, okay, everybody knows his A2 AoE HP burn. On the clan boss, he does it for just the 1 target. It's for 3 turns on the 3-turn cooldown, 100%. But then on his A3, he has an ally protection on everybody except himself, and increased defense for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So most people that obviously everybody in your channel knows the importance of ally protection, how good ally protection it is. But pair that with an increased defense as well, you have yourself a god for clan boss. And not only that, he has another passive that most people, again, I'm quite sure don't necessarily know or haven't thought about it. He decreases the damage inflicted by enemies under HP burn, which he provides himself, by 10%. And also he brings an ally HP aura by 25% in all battles. One thing that people maybe think about him is like, oh, but I need to make him tanky and give him the HP burn and I need to give him accuracy. You don't have to give him accuracy. You can bring somebody else that does the HP burn and his passive is still gonna work. Because it's not like Geomancer's one where you need to, you know, his own HP burn. So yeah, at the same time I think, on the A1, I forgot about this. On the A1, he heals himself by the damage inflicted if the target's under HP burn. And he's defense based. So from my point of view, he's the one that's overlooked. I'm not sure. I don't want to risk and say he's better than Duchess, but I would say like him and Duchess are the best ones for.
Yeah, he's definitely
so
up there in the underlooked category because he's got that self-healing mechanic with the ally protection, and I always familiarize this champion with like a Torogi the Frog where he heals himself, right?
Yes.
But having an ally protection and an increased defense in one skill, in one champion, on a 3-turn cooldown, this has got so much value, guys. So if you've got a Tyrant, definitely think about bringing him in if you don't have those other ally protection options. And having that damage mitigation in this passive, also going to lead you to extra rounds in your runs. So we've spoken briefly about Duchess. Basically, the main source of her is that perfect veil, which kind of puts a 15% damage mitigation on all of your allies, which is really remarkable. Also, we got that revive on the A3 ability and that speed aura of 19%. And she's pretty much there to be like a great support champion. But the one that I think we're kind of sleeping on here is going to be the new one in Wither. Now, obviously, not many people have had a lot of time to playtest this champion, but she has absolutely got an amazing kit for the clan boss, not just the arena. Yeah. And that's down to that continuous heal and that leech on the A1. We've also got an increased defense and the continuous heal stuff on the A2, which is an amazing buff, by the way. Also, a cleanse on a 3-turn cooldown to be able to take that stun off on that stun turn. So yeah, I think this is an absolutely amazing champion, and also a passive with continuous heals on the lowest HP champion at the start of each turn. Yeah, not the greatest damage output, but if you're starting to bring in just full support, definitely think about Wither if you're struggling to survive.
Yes, so from the epics category, again, there's not too many that you would think about. I honestly picked out two, again, one that's quite a little bit overwhelming, let's say maybe overlooked, but for early game she can be really helpful. I'm talking about Nazana.
Yeah.
So Nazana, the reason why she's really good is like we talked about Tyrant, she brings on her A2, she brings an AoE ally protection, and also she brings a shield on herself, equal to 40% of her max HP, which can help her survive quite a lot. At the same time, on her A3, she brings an AoE decreased attack. I mean, it's only 75% chance, but if you don't have a better one, she's gonna be a good champion to help you do that. And then she, that's about it. On the A1, she brings an AoE attack again. She's not the greatest, but you know, if you don't have any other ally protection champion, she could be a lifesaver.
Yeah, for sure. I had Deadwood on the channel around a month ago, and he was saying the same thing, that he really enjoys Nazana, so definitely a good little pick out there. In terms of other epics, there's some that could have some use, but I wouldn't highly recommend many from the demon spawns. Maybe a Paidma for the consistent decreased attack. But apart from that...
I was looking at Urtikata, she could be pretty interesting. She's pretty new and maybe not as experimented with, but she could be good with those poisons and poison sensitivities, but I guess it just depends on the team. She has a really interesting kit as well.
Yeah, I think for pure damage output, it could be pretty cool, I guess, with that poison sensitivity and poisons.
Yeah, the only problem with her is like her really low base HP, like 12,000 HP, that's really low.
Yeah, probably like looking at more of an unkillable setting to bring her in, right?
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that's the thing. Demonspawn is such a good faction with champions overall, but not so much of like clan boss specific ones.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's head into the Undead Hordes and let's have a little crack here. So I guess I'll start things off for this one, and I'm going to go straight into a champion I don't have, and that is Mashard. Who remembers back in the day how trash this dude was? Like I was saying before, there was somebody that I knew who had around 6 Mashards and fed them all, and then he got buffed and now he doesn't have any. So this champion's amazing. He's got that leech on the A1, allowing you not needing those lifesteal sets, increased speed and increased crit damage on that A2, allowing us to reach those 2-to-1 ratio speeds and increasing the overall damage from our champions. On the A3, heal reduction is not mandatory for the clan boss. It could have some uses of like a Venom Mage, but apart from that, it's mainly for those continuous heals, and that's really going to keep you alive. So yeah, pretty simple kit, but it has so much versatility. What do you think about this dude?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I do not have him as well.
Oh, is it?
I wish I had him. Yeah, don't have Mashalet either. But yeah, his kit. I think this is the key to most champions that are really good in clan boss. Simple but really good kits, and he has the same thing. His damage output can be insane, and like you mentioned, he enables us to build the 2-to-1 ratio comps and put out some insane damage out there. So he's definitely, I would definitely say he would be the MVP. Like, shout out to Bad Alcazar as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like Mashaled is like a little bit better. I mean, Bad Alcazar helps as well. He, again, has a simple kit, with the poisons, continuous heals, and the cleanse. But I guess just Mashaled is better. He's just overall better. At least in my opinion, your opinion. Like, maybe people disagree, but I guess at the end of the day, it also depends on what people have on their account.
Yeah, it's really down to like situational stuff and what comps you're bringing in as well. Because if you're really relying on a cleanser, obviously you're gonna want to have a bad Alcazar, right? But if you want to go at those 2-to-1 ratio speeds, you want to bring in those Mashards, etc. But while you're speaking about bad Alcazar, what do you like about this dude?
Well, the fact that, like we mentioned about Mashaled, the simple kit, the A2 removes all debuffs from all allies, which you can use to remove the stun, so he can be a cleanser for the stun target. Places 2 continuous heals on all the allies, and also places 2 poisons, all in one single skill on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. This is just insane. Also, he brings a really unique thing in the game, which is his passive. All allies inflict 20% more damage against targets under poison debuffs, which obviously he brings himself, but it can be, again, like mentioned previously with Tyrant, it can be anybody else's poison. So 20% more damage from everybody can mean a lot. Like, this could be the difference between 2 king or 3 kings in certain situations. On the A1, he just has like an AoE and heals all allies by 20% of the damage inflicted. And last but not least, he has an insane aura, increases ally crit rate in all battles by 25%. So if we're talking for like killable comps, I guess, like you mentioned, it's people would prefer a Bad Alcazar because of his heals, cleanse, and poisons. But yeah, he's a huge champion. I think he was one of my first legendaries that I got.
Yeah.
But he's a really insane champion for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty insane to have as a first legendary. I had to wait ages to get mine.
It wasn't my first one. I think it was my third one or fourth one of the first ones that I got.
Yeah.
He definitely carried me everywhere as well.
Yeah.
And also Nethril. Like, Nethril can be really good for those poisons, those 3-hit on the A1 and poisons. But it's like, I think that some of these champions were a bit just power crept for the clan boss use, at least.
So I think there's 3 epics in this faction that I think stands out. So I think you should probably start off with the first one. I think I know what you're going to say.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, since we talked about people that can take on a 2-to-1 ratio, let's talk about Seeker then.
Yeah.
Another champion, same principle as I mentioned earlier, simple kits, but makes everything so much easier. So on the A1, he attacks one enemy 2 times. After it's booked, it's 50% chance to provoke, not gonna help us on the clan boss. But on the A2, because the champion fills the turn meter of all allies by 30%, this is a 15% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns, then grants an extra turn. When it's booked, it's on a 3-turn cooldown. With the grants an extra turn, that means every other turn he has this one back. So we talked about Mashal being able to bring our team on 2-to-1 ratio. Seeker makes it even easier, because the difference between in this game is like the turn meter are ticks and the speed is something different. So having turn meter boost is more important than having increased speed boost to be able to do those 2-to-1 ratios. Like, he makes comps like the Myth Harris, he makes the Bat Eater, like so many comps that have him in there as the main event, just for his simple kit, make it so much easier and making the damage output insane. He also has a passive that heals himself by 20% when he gets hit by crit and places increased defense, but doesn't help us for clan boss. And his aura, again, defense in arena by 30%. He can also be used, honestly, I've used him in the same build that I had him in my Bat Eater team.
Yeah.
For arena, for like anti-blender teams. I would put him in the lead just for his aura and for his passive, and then just put somebody else in the back with big shields. But yeah, for clan boss, he's insane. Like, he's definitely one of the best epics for clan boss in the game, if not actually one of the best. I'm not gonna say the best one. There's better ones.
All right, so we'll briefly talk about the next 2 that I think are the standouts. So we all know that I love Vogoth, especially even in the clan boss where people tend to not use them a lot. And it's pretty much down to the leech always being up on a consistent basis with the second passive. On the first passive, he's able to heal you all of your allies by 25% from those AoE attacks. Also on the A1, very similar to a mini Vizier, he's able to extend a random debuff on the target by 1 turn. And that's pretty much how you'd use Vogoth. Now in terms of the other one I'd like to mention would be Mausoleum Mage, because he's got the A1 which isn't useful for clan boss, but he's got a 30% increased crit rate, increased defense, and a block debuffs in the same ability on a 3-turn cooldown. Now apart from that, he doesn't have too much to his kit apart from that cleanse and the heals, like in terms of damage output. But in terms of support, a really great champion, a bit underlooked from most of the player base when you think about the clan boss. Actually, before we move on from here, how did I miss that? Anax was on the side there, great for unkillable teams.
Yeah.
With the drop defense, the weakens, the poisons. Great overall, mainly in my personal opinion for unkillable teams. But of course, you could bring him into your mid-game like normal clan boss comps, and he's able to bring 3 really crucial things. So yeah, let's head into the next faction.
Right, boss. Okay, so when we're talking about Dark Elves, we have some options. We have, honestly, I think I wrote down 1, 2, 3 options, but 2 of them are quite end game to acquire, honestly. So you have Mithral and Lydia, which can be acquired quite hard, but I guess the best and easiest one to acquire, or like if you pull him, obviously would be Vizier.
Yeah.
And he's also the one that has one of the most unique kits, I guess. There's other ones that do something similar, but not the same as him, and it's all about Vizier's A1. So his A1, he attacks 3 times. Each hit after being booked has a 50% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs by 1 turn. A simple example why he is so good because of this, you can make your budget unkillable with the right champions and him in there to be a 1 key, which not too many champions can do that. Like I can't think of other can you think of other combinations like 1 key budget unkillable? No Vizier. I think it's because I've seen the ones with him, Geomancer and Farrakhan,
Yeah.
him, Draco, and other people, but like without him, I don't know if there's
Yeah, I think in terms of budget unkillable, I don't think I've seen a 1 key apart from people using those kind of comps you just mentioned. But yeah, he's definitely unique in his kit, and that A1 is amazing for sure. Even if you don't have like a decreased attack champion, you can even place this A2. Of course, it fills up some other stuff you don't want.
Yeah,
if you start bringing in like a Venomage with a Vizier, you're able to extend the poisons, and that's actually a way that you can implement heal reduction by getting the damage mitigation from her passive. So that's probably one scenario you could use this, but 9 times out of 10, you want to bring in other debuffers and just extend them with those A1 abilities.
Yeah, I never thought about it. And at the same time, block buffs can be useful if you talk about like killable comp, because you can block the increased attack, I guess.
Yeah.
But overall, he has a simple kit, and that's about it. Like I in my opinion, apart from like the new case that appeared now with him being used in some Bommel situations, he's like clan boss specialist, honestly.
Yeah. All right, so let's just talk about probably the champion everyone's looking at, and it's going to be Lydia the Death Siren, acquirable for literally everybody if you can finish the faction wars, of course. But just to break it down, pretty simple. Decrease defense, weaken, strengthen, and increase speed, all in one ability. Now, no other champion in the game can replicate this in one kind of ability, right? Also, on the A3, we've got that block buffs, poison sensitivity. It's just absolutely amazing. Like, of course, you can use it in other areas of the game as well. Like, pretty much the most versatile champion you could bring in. But yeah, overall, like to have all of that in one champion, really hard to replace.
Yeah, she's insane. She's the one, when she came out, I wasn't playing during that time, but I know she's the one that sort of like benched some other AoE decreased defense and weakened champions like Venus, Draco, and all that. But yeah, her kit is insane.
Who else was there? We had Mithrala as well. We all know her from the Doom Tower. Like, she's got the poisons, she's got the increased defense, the increased attack.
And she has the cleanse on A3, and that's something that's really nice about her. Her A2 and A3, after they're booked, they're on a 3-turn cooldown. And the A1 are like, if you book them again, it's guaranteed 2 poisons.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel she's such an insane champion that maybe most people will not lock her in a clan boss, you know?
Yeah, I think the only
Yes, sir.
downside to having a Mithrala is going to be placing that Hex debuff, right? Because
Yeah, true.
placing that Hex kind of fills up one of the debuff slots. And if you wasn't aware, the clan boss only allows 10 debuff slots. So if you're starting to stack all of those poisons and those burns, just bear in mind, if you're using a Mithrala, you may just have to have 9 debuffs, which isn't the biggest deal in the world, considering all of the stuff she's bringing in. But still, to have a cleanse, a strengthen, and poisons, this is a really great champion for sure.
I guess Dark Hail could be a good option for like lots of damage because of his A3 places 3 poisons and poison sensitivity. Then with the A1 he has a chance to explode those basically, like when booked 35% chance. And he also brings the decreased attack on the A2. That A2 actually smacks pretty hard. Another one that maybe is a little shout out, but maybe not as good, is I was thinking like Captain Tamila.
Okay.
She brings like on her A3, she brings area protection. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, so it might be tricky, but you can make her on a 40 ratio. But she also brings AoE increased defense and heal on her A2 on a 3-turn cooldown. So that can be, she can be your ally protect and increased defense champ and healer. So you know, if you don't have any other options, she's gonna be good for that. And she also has a chance to put a continuous heal on her on herself with A1 if she crits.
Yeah, that's some pretty good shouts there. I like those. I think the Dark Elves has a pretty solid for like in terms of clan boss champs.
Yeah, true.
All right, so Knight Revenant.
Well, I'm obviously gonna call my favorite champion in the game and my first legendary, Tomb Lord.
Yeah.
He's just a beast. Before he wasn't as useful maybe, especially because of his A3 that used to be on a 5-turn cooldown.
Yeah.
But now, after he was booked, if you bring somebody else that has like, I don't know, let's talk about the killable comp. If you bring somebody else that has a decreased attack on their A1, you could definitely pair it with the Tomb Lord. Like bringing A with decreased attack and decreased defense can be helpful, like 2 skills in one.
Yeah.
Then bringing those 4 poisons on the A2 on the 3-turn cooldown, plus the 3-hitter on the A1, I feel like he could be quite a decent damage dealer, and I feel like he's quite versatile in that role. Just maybe the only downside is, like I said, the A3 it's on a 4-turn cooldown. I still think I would use him. I mean, maybe I'm being biased because he's my favorite legendary and he's so good for everywhere else. Like he was my first legendary, carried me everywhere. You can use him everywhere.
There's actually 2 that just kind of stick out to me now. So obviously there's Versa of the Grim with the increased defense, the ally protection, and the same ability on a 3-turn cooldown. And that's pretty much what you want to use this guy for. Like, that's a pretty amazing ability. Obviously, you can also have some attacks or enemies and chance of placing a leech. But yeah, apart from the leech and that A3, not too much use.
Yeah, that's all you would need him. I know I did on my free-to-play when he came out. This was the first fusion I did on that one, and I got him, and he can just carry you in clan boss. Having leech again for an early account, it saves you from having to farm all that lifesteal for everybody.
Whirling Frost King, because he's also got a strengthen and an increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, and also that decreased crit damage and decreased accuracy on the A3. So yeah, it's a pretty nice one. Nothing too amazing apart from that A3 ability. But definitely, if you don't have an increased defense or a strengthen, definitely think about maybe bringing a Whirlim in.
Yeah, survivability if you're building a killable one.
All right, epics, kick us off.
Okay, for the epics, again, there's like a few different options in here, but I guess there's 2 obvious ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I guess you agree. So one of them would be Doom Priest.
Yeah.
Same theme as I spoke earlier, simple, basic kit that can be huge. A1, if she crits, she puts an increased crit rate on a random ally for 2 turns. A2 places an increased attack on all allies for 2 turns on 3-turn cooldown. Doesn't sound too special, but then we have her passive. Heals all allies by 7.5% of their HP and removes a debuff from them at the start of this champion's turn. So basically, we can bring her in a clan boss team, and she can go first always in our rotation. She can remove the debuff from the second AoE, and she can remove the stun. So she can just make so many of the comps affinity friendly. Basically, most of the comps that we look on Deadwood Jedi's website for how to make it affinity friendly, most of them have Doom Priest, Doom Priest, Doom Priest. Just get her in there and all sorted.
Yeah, she's amazing. I guess the next one you're thinking of is the chick next door, right next to Doom Priest.
Exactly, neighbor.
So we've got Sepulchre Sentinel, one of my favorite champions, and she's got that increased defense. She's got a block debuffs. Granted, it's on a 4-turn cooldown, so you're gonna have to get her at a 4-to-3 ratio to make full use of this ability. Also that infamous decrease attack on the A1, which is vital for the clan boss. And of course, an amazing passive that can come in so clutch. So there's a 50% chance of completely blocking incoming damage when an ally is attacked. So when you think about champions like Skull Crushers, for example, able to keep them alive when paired with someone like a Sepulchre Sentinel. Also an amazing aura of increased defense in all battles by 25%. I guess the only downside of this champion would be it's a single attacker on the A1, very similar to a Jarek. So if you kind of miss that, you could be in a bit of a pickle if you start placing those increased defense straight after. You might die a bit early, but that's the aim of the game. Bit of RNG for you.
Yeah, it's a bit of RNG. She can be a good backup for the, especially just decreased attack, but not just the reliable one.
Yeah, I guess there's some other good honorable mentions here, but let's just go into the next faction. I'll just shout them out really quickly. So, Miscreated Monster could be really useful for those ally protections. We've got Rector Draft for the AoE heals and the revives, in case somebody else dies. Also, she's got that perfect veil, which works like a damage mitigation, very similar to a Duchess. And those are kind of like two other options I would throw in there.
Yeah, there was a Whisper, but she's not as good.
Yeah.
Fun story about her, she was my first 6-star on my account.
Oh, really?
I didn't know how to play the game. I was like, ooh, extra turn, I'm gonna build her. She's gonna do so much damage.
Alright, let's head into the Dwarves, and I'm pretty sure there's lots to say about this one, because this is just full of them. Like, go on, kick us off here.
Well, Dwarves, it's from my point of view for legendaries, there's only one simple, obvious, best option, and that's Under Priest Brogni.
Yeah.
Best fusion, in my opinion. Because not just the fact that he's versatile everywhere, but he's insane for clan boss. He has on the A1, attacks one enemy, has a 60% chance to place an HP burn on the A1, which HP burn can do lots of damage.
Yeah.
On the A2, let's go into A3 first, and then go to the A2. So on the A3, this is a block debuffs, increase attack, and shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. His shield buff cannot be removed, so if you use him in other areas, this can be good to like have it blocked so it's not removed by madams or other stuff.
Yeah.
This skill is on a 3-turn cooldown. Basically, having the block debuffs for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown makes him a really good champion to make us affinity friendly for blocking the debuff and the stun. At the same time, if you go to his A2, he attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of removing a buff from all enemies, so you can remove the increased attack from the clan boss, and also has a chance of removing one debuff from your team. Also, he increases the value of the shield by 30% of the damage he inflicts. So the comps that maybe some people know about is like he made a comp called Infinity Shield possible.
Yeah.
That basically made it, the world record is what, 1 billion at the moment?
Yeah, something like that.
With him, 1 billion. And that's not the end of it. His passive also says whenever an ally under a shield buff, his attack reflects 25% of the damage inflicted on the shield back to the attacker. Also heals that ally by 25% of the damage inflicted on the shield. One thing that's amazing about this shield is not just reflecting the damage, this can proc Giant Slayer procs or War Masters. But people go for Giant Slayer because War Master can only proc once. So he looks like somebody that's a support champ, but ends up being a DPS champ. Like he can kick out some insane damage. Like bring him in unkillable, bring him even in like unkillable if you don't have any other options, and he can do some insane damage.
Yeah, 100%. He's probably one of my favorite legendaries in the game, apart from Genzin, of course. But yeah, Under Priest is amazing. In terms of epics, there is so many amazing ones here. Most honorable mention will probably be Geomancer. He's able to reflect those burns back to the clan boss. Amazing ability. Also, he's got that weaken to coincide with like a drop defense that you may have. He's got an A2 that can remove the increased attack from affinity clan boss. And that's pretty much what you're using this dude for. Like, that burn reflection is amazing. Worth mentioning as well, in his passive, there's a damage mitigation by 15% of the champions under his burn. So if you like kind of put him with like a Venom Mage or some other damage mitigation champions, you're able to survive a lot longer trying to reach those 50 turns. Another one that I'd like to speak about would be Rearguard Sergeant. Now, she's a bit underlooked from the community, but in my opinion, pairs really well with champions like Hatatsu from the Shadowkin, because they both have that problem of not being able to place consistent decreased attacks, and able to have both of them in the team definitely works out. But we got
Exactly.
that decreased defense on the A1. We got decreased attack on the A2. And also the ally protection and continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown. Really great abilities here. I'll let
really
you finish
good.
off with one that's probably your favorite here.
But in this faction.
Yeah.
Well, there's a small mention maybe for like early game players, and he's kind of fallen out of the meta. Grizzled Jarl. Could be another one. That's like he brings that block debuffs, which there's not so many epics and rares that bring it. He also brings increased defense with it. The block debuffs is only for 1 turn, but that can be useful if you use it to just block the debuffs or the stun. Then he also has a decreased attack on his A3 as well, which can be really useful.
Yeah.
But the one that I'm definitely gonna talk about, I just wanted to quickly mention him, is Ragnar Goldgleam. This guy is insane. He used to not be somebody that people would think about because of his A2. His A2, he used to sacrifice HP, gain third meter because of it, so that would make it extremely hard for him to be speed tuned in a clan boss team. But since last year, when we got the AI presets and we were able to just shut that one down, he's become an insane champion. He has, again, simple kit, but extremely awesome. On the A1, he has attacks one enemy, has a 60% chance of placing a leech. So if you bring him in a killable comp, basically you have your free lifesteal, like as we spoke before for other champions. And on his A3, he places increased attack on himself and has a 100% chance when booked of placing a weaken and a decreased defense before attacking. So he places those and then attacks. This is on a 4-turn cooldown, but because of his passive, every time he loses HP, every time he loses 15% HP, it decreases the cooldown of that A3 by 1 turn. So his leech basically makes him heal back up. This one's like, it's recurring. It's not like after you lose 15%, and you get to 0, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It keeps working. You keep healing, keeps working. Like one thing that I've mentioned with, that I've noticed with this one is, I made a video about this. He can actually be better in the Bat Eater as a DPS than Fane.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because of the leech, he makes everybody else heal up more, which gives all of them a better chance to proc the retribution.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because they heal back up.
Yeah.
Exactly, and he's never gonna be weak affinity. So your only weak affinity with him in the Bat Eater is Force. But he makes everybody else do lots more damage. He doesn't do insane damage himself. He's like close to Fane level, but everybody else does more because of his leech. Not just the decreased defense and weaken, but the leech.
Yeah, for sure.
That is insane.
So the one I thought he was gonna jump at the chance for is Demiffer. Because...
No, I thought we kept that one like that's the best. I said Ragnar's like call out, but Demiffer's the best.
All right, so I'll let you talk about Demiffer. I know you like this champion.
Okay. So Demiffer is pretty simple. She changed the whole unkillable meta when she came out last year. It's all about her A3 specifically. When booked on a 3-turn cooldown, places a block damage buff on all allies for 1 turn and continuous heal as well, which just basically makes it insane. You put her you get her to a 3-to-1 ratio with the Seekers they were talking earlier and other champions, and you got yourself unkillable. You don't need any other champion that puts unkillable, just her, and you're good to go. On the A2, she also has increased the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn, then decrease the duration of all debuffs, and then she does an insane heal based on the number of buffs and debuffs she extends or like decreases. This heal is, I think this is the best heal in the game, maybe like AoE compared to other champions. And then under her A1 is like attacks one enemy 2 times and places a shield, not so important. She requires a lot of books, honestly, like especially if you land them on the A1. But if you don't, if you land the books on the A3 and A2, she's insane. Like everybody knows her use for unkillable, for the Myth Heures ultimates, like all of the Demiffer comps with Heures. But she can actually be used on like killable comps. She has an extension of buffs on the A2.
Yeah.
Her heals are huge. If you cannot survive, like if you don't have all the good champions and you cannot get all of your buffs to last on all the turns, just get her to block one of the AoEs with the A3, and then with the A2 have the heals and all the buffs on the second AoE. And she can make you last like quite a while.
Yeah, 100%. Like, she's definitely one of the, if not the best one in this faction for epics. Like, she's amazing.
True.
It's probably between her and Geomancer, but I think she takes it just by a margin.
Just by a bit, yeah, exactly.
Yes, so just to quickly wrap up here, we have got the Shadowkin. That is the final faction of today's video. And
yeah,
there's probably two stands out for me in terms of clan boss. And that's going to be Ninja for those detonation of burns on that A2 ability. Really great for unkillable teams. And then, of course, the infamous Riho Bonesmere that many people probably don't have. I don't have one. Do you have one yet?
Nope, I don't have one either.
But basically, she's got that amazing removes all debuffs and then places a block debuffs as well. And she's just got everything. She's got decreased defense, weaken. Like, what is there not to like about this Riho Bonesmere here?
All the buffs in the game, she has them. She brings them. You need
It's
that,
like
she's
cheating.
got it.
Alright, so in terms of epics, well, actually, I'll just give a little honorable shout out then to Jin Toro. I know you can deal some great damage.
Like, you forgot the boy Jin Toro, the samurai himself.
You see, Jin Toro, we've got a bit of beef at the moment because he doesn't want to get summoned. So until then, I'm just going to stick with my
okay.
Genzin.
Okay, that's good. Same. Doesn't want to be summoned for me either.
I'm not too familiar with Yumeiko's kit, if I'm honest. Has she got much utility for clan boss?
Nothing for clan boss, honestly.
No.
Nothing for. She's just all arena focused. Too much third stuff going in there.
Yeah.
And it's not as good.
So what I'll do is I'll quickly talk about Hatatsu and I'll let you talk about the main one. So
let me talk about Hotatsu. I'm gonna leave
go
your
on
man
then.
to you. Okay, I'm gonna leave your man to you. Let me go on to Hotatsu. So Hotatsu, I think he's a little bit overlooked by people in general. I believe that it's mostly because of his A2 again, just like we spoke about Rearguard. It's not 100% chance to to place a decrease attack.
Yeah.
But it's on a 3-turn cooldown, so if you have somebody as a backup, he can be really useful. Also on the A1, he brings a leech on a 60% chance after it's booked. And the best thing for his kit on a 3-turn cooldown, AoE increased defense and continuous heals. This can mean a lot to keep your whole team alive. Increased defense keeps you alive. The continuous heal heals you a lot. At the same time, his aura is just like Sepulchre's aura, increase allied defense in all battles.
Yeah.
Again, a really good aura that you can bring in there. I always forget his passive. Removes one debuff. Okay, his passive is
it's a little bit weird because when I first read it, I got really excited, right? Because it removes like stun and stuff in those orders. So I thought, great, an amazing like stun target, and you can never be stunned, right?
True.
But the way that it works is it's similar like a Skull Crusher. You actually get the cooldown and then all of your stuff falls out of sync. So
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but still, his kit is still good. Yeah,
so I think the main champion in this faction is going to be the infamous Taraji the Frog. Absolutely amazing.
Yes.
We've got that drop attack. We've got an A2 that you block off for just a clan boss. But we've got shields, ally protection, reflect damage, and heals all in the same ability on a 3-turn cooldown. Now for an epic, like this is an outstanding skill, allowing us to do those Lydias and Underpriest Brogni teams. Also an amazing passive with reflecting poisons back from each hit.
Yeah.
So if you think about Affinity Clan boss, that's up to around 4 hits where you have a chance of placing that big version of the poison. So yeah, overall, amazing champion.
In my opinion, I think you might share it, he's the best ally protection champion in the game for clan boss. I think hands down.
Yeah, I guess arguable, situational to what team you bring in.
That's what I would see. Like if you're talking about ally protection, just specific ally protection for clan boss, I would say him. He brings so many things.
I'd say this. This is what I'd say. I'd say he's the best ally protection champion when you have an Underpriest Brogni because they can he can extend his shields, etc. But I think if you're doing like a traditional one, don't get me wrong, still absolutely amazing. But I'd still maybe use a Skull Crusher in like a normal 4-3 team. Trying to get this,
okay, true, yeah.
to get those counterattacks and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking counterattacks, I was just thinking simple.
You're right though. Really situational. It just depends on the kind of team you're using, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Skull Crusher better. Counterattacks brings more damage in there.
Yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be the list for today. Thanks for jumping on the channel. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so guys, straight after this video, look at the end card of this video or the description below, and it'll take you to a link to Odd One Gaming's YouTube channel, where we're going to be breaking down the first 7 factions. So if you enjoyed this video and made it towards the end, make sure you head over there and drop a little subscription while you're there. So Odd One, do you just want to say anything before we sign off here?
Just thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it a lot. I think you're one of the first ones that I actually met in this this community when I started streaming. It was you, Smiley, and Team Surfer. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that I'm able to collab with one of the first people that I've seen here. And again, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. So yeah, that's going to be all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.